Hey everyone, I think we're live. Might be a good idea for me to check my microphone, right? Yeah, the sound is coming through fine. Yeah, hey, hope you're all okay. Oh no, it's changing. There you go. Stay settled. My microphone levels started going up and down all on their own, but they're okay now. Hope you're all okay. It's Tuesday. It's been a pretty decent morning so far, wrapping up a few things. I started recording a video yesterday. It was going to be an Elementor tutorial, and I was basing it on the Elementor hosting platform just to check, does it all work fine and everything's all right, which it did. And I thought I was going to record like 1 hour, 15 minutes and then edit it to be about 45 minutes. Hey, Greg. Hey, friendly girl. And instead, it ended up being, I've got it written here, 3 hours, 25 minutes. And I really want the video to not be now. Original intention was 45 minutes. Hey, Gene, I now want to get it down to 1 hour. So I've got to like edit out 2 hours, 25 minutes. Now, a lot of it, is it very dark? Yeah, I mean, it's, the light is on, but, I think it's because like I haven't put lots of the other lights on and stuff like that. Hey, John Sionitis. So it's annoying when you record a video and then like the hero banner, I must have spent about, I don't know, 20 minutes on it. And then I realized I want to do it a different way. And then I tried to, oh, is my screen inset? Your screen is inset with a grey border. A grey border? Whereabouts? Over here somewhere or something else? I mean, it should all come. Oh, hold on. I know what it is. I know what it is. Wait. There you go. There you go. You meant that grey border, which I now know what you mean. Um, so it's annoying when you start recording and you have an idea and then you realize, no, I don't want to do that now. I don't want to use 4 child containers. I want to do it all within one to make it more efficient. And then you end up rebuilding the whole thing while you're recording. And then you realize, no, I need to now pretend I never built it. So pretend that never happened and jump back to when I was going to build it. And I had too much of that going on. John Sionitis, there seems to be many web designers. Do you all have a portfolio online? Look, the thing is, though, John, the portfolio is going to be like very different and varied for everyone. They're all going to show their designs. It's no different to just going online and looking at any web designer portfolio. What you got to think about is show off your best designs. We all build websites where our clients kind of curtail us to only do it a certain way. So overall, the design isn't the greatest. And when you don't have a really great design, you don't really want to stick that online. I've seen some portfolios where they look tragic, and I'm like, you're trying to win business, so don't put your bad designs online. But your portfolio is going to be very, very varied, and I would say just go online. In fact, I would say go and do a search for web designers or web agencies in your area. What are they doing? What do you like? What do you dislike? So I would say go and do that. That's my best tip, because you're going to get a much more varied like range kind of thing. And also, when you do a Google search, don't go for the sponsored adverts. Go for the people that are ranking in the top 5 or 10, because obviously they must be winning business. You like to think they must be doing well, or maybe they just maxed out the SEO. But go and look at what they've done, because I no disrespect to anyone here, but someone could say, yeah, have a look at my site, but they're not even on Google, or they're not really getting business, or they're getting business by alternate means which won't relate to how you normally get business. So I'd say is go and do a Google search. Hey, John. Hey, Gary, Visual Media. How are you doing? Thanks, by the way, John. So for my videos, this is a 4K camera. So when I'm doing the recording, I'm just recording straight onto my phone. Like, I'm not using OBS or anything. I'm using straight onto my phone as a landscape. And then what I do is I shrink it down to be portrait on my editing software. So because it is 2K, not 2K, 4K, even when you go like that, it's more than 1080. So they are pretty crisp and pretty clean in terms of visualization. And then I do edit it inside of CapCut. But Jay, did you find any great videos or tutorials about ChatGPT? I haven't really looked. I haven't really looked. Normally, though, I will take an interest and look when I know we need to satisfy a client request. I've kind of got to this point where I struggle to make time to go, oh, I've got a really good idea. There's got to be a reason for it. So it's got to be something that I know either our audience is craving for or something I know is going to help me or future or current clients in the long term. Hey Eddie, how you doing? By the way, if anyone does want to join in the live chat, you can do. I'm just going to get the link for the live chat. If anyone wants to join in, you can. I am going to say, though, if anyone does join and they're mainly just working in the background and they're not contributing like in discussions or chipping in, then don't be surprised if you get booted out without any notice, okay? Because I'm not gonna what I can't have is people coming on screen who are just doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not for why we do the live chat kind of thing. So if anyone does want to join the live chat, you can jump along. So like I was saying, started recording a video. It was just like took way too long to record, and I started editing it yesterday. So just to put things into perspective, right? I spent about an hour researching and thinking about what I was going to do, getting images and stuff, scribbling up how I was going to make the page look in terms of the layout. You can just about see it there. 3 hours and a half to record, a total of 4 hours editing so far, and I'm still only halfway through the editing. It's on this screen over here. Hey, John, how you doing? So I'm only halfway through the editing. So already that's 4 hours, 3.5 plus an hour. That's 8.5 hours already. And sometimes I feel like, why do I put myself through this? Why am I doing this? But it's a nice design. It's one of those like where I've gone, what if we did this? How you doing, Bo?
Me, I'm doing fine. How's the rest of the community? They actually look active today.
They kind of do. Eddie goes, anyone upgrade to 3.18? Now, I always say never ever upgrade until at least 2 days after it becomes available. So it came out yesterday. I would wait till when I would even stretch and say wait till Friday. Like, what's the rush? I would say, right? Someone's reported that they had a problem with their header footer. I don't know how much of that is actually down to Elementor, but because they didn't tell us the theme or what other third-party plugins they got or anything like that. But I would say just wait, Eddie. Just wait, because there's always going to be a bug. There always is something that's not quite right. Richard, how are you doing? Long time no see. I hope you're okay. We're all doing okay and doing really, really well. John says he can't wait for the new page speed video. Look, I'll be really open with you all. The new page speed video isn't that different from the 2023, except one plugin I've removed because I've now realized I don't need that. And I've slightly tweaked some of the processes. So it's not that different. It's just a few. It's actually more snippets I'm going to ask you to put in, 2 more in a way. But I've knocked out one plugin. It's not that different. It's not groundbreaking. I try to find a way to do it with 0 plugins, just code snippets. And the trouble is, though, when you start to touch things like asynchronizing your CSS, gzip, and all of that, nah, forget it. Just go with a plugin. Because if I was to create a code snippet for that, every time the world of WordPress changes, I'd have to go and change that code snippet. And I feel like unless I want to be responsible for a little product, I'm like, no, forget that. So I'm still relying on one performance plugin. But other than that, yeah, it's not that different, but I still think it will be a good watch. Gary says it killed his header. Ooh, so maybe there is a problem. Maybe there is a
Ooh.
problem then with the headers crashing. Maybe not. Hi, Jonathan Groundpets. I mean, John, you don't rush into updating Elemental Pro, do you?
You- I'm one of those people who said a while back I'm not installing it for at least a week.
Mm,
I'll test it on a subdomain first.
yeah.
Um, I liked the video you did, and I was almost like, oh, I want to do it now. And I thought, no, I don't.
Oh,
No, I
what?
don't.
The 3.18 beta?
Yeah, I was like all fired up, and I thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Other than the element manager bit where you can add or remove elements, it's not a major game changer because I went and got some clarity just to double check I was right about this. So all it does is hide what you see in the list. If you so let's say you don't use accordions, you can now
Mhm.
hide it from your list. Great. But if you were building a web page and you never dragged the accordion onto the page and it's still visible, it won't load on your page.
I
So it
think
only
it's the
loads.
command. I think it's the commands you're using. You were talking about you put the word London in. I did admit what was brought
Oh,
out
you
was
mean the
actually,
AI? Right,
yeah,
yeah.
the AI is an improvement, surely, on what was being produced before.
Uh, well, so there's two ways to look at it. You had the code AI bit where you could generate code, and quite frankly, I think with any bit of kit, it's always hit and miss, right? With the container AI, it was I think it's good from an inspiration point of view. I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to look at it. You will end up spending time rebuilding, or you might see it and go, ah, I like that. And then you build your own from scratch kind of thing because you can't always predict what you're going to get, or you could just
No, you
manipulate it.
can't. You
Um,
can't. But I would argue that where they were before, where you could search for an image, a bit like Midjourney. You type
hmm.
something in Midjourney and various
Oh,
other
right. I see where
software,
you're going. Yeah.
you will get something close to.
Yeah.
Now, if
No.
you're struggling with design, layout, and concept, and you get your head around those right keywords, then you're going to get results. It's a bit like SEO, isn't it? Once you've identified those keywords that need to be used, you are in a better situation to potentially get your ranking, your
Yeah.
visual looking better.
You're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. I actually completely forgot about the image AI. That just shows how much I wasn't using it within Elemental because it was like same thing like Midjourney. Unless you are going to take that image and then stick it into Photoshop or whatever and do stuff with it, which kind of then defeats the object of why you're doing it in Elemental AI then in the first place because it's not going to be perfect. You're absolutely right. Um, in terms of giving so many people say, oh, I need to do a hero banner or a team section for XYZ. Oh, I need ideas. Now you can. You just go in and
Yeah,
pop your words in.
yeah.
And what I really
This
liked
is,
was sorry, go on.
yeah, I was going to say, this is where I think, with the greatest respect to Midjourney and other areas, the UI, and I said this a week or so back, UI is very, very important for new people coming on.
Yeah.
If you look at something like Canva and you compare that to Midjourney, if you want an image off Canva on the keywords, you're likely to get a pretty close image as a starting point that
Yeah.
you can use for your material. Now, when we get to the stage where we get something like Elementor reaching that Canva level, that'll be
Mm.
that'll be interesting. I don't think it's there yet, but I think it's
No.
trying to head very close in that direction.
Yeah. Hey Dave, how are you? Yeah. So staying on the bits about the AI thing is like again, you're making good points here in that when I first started using Midjourney, I gave up after about a few days. I hated it. It's because I, I I know a lot of people love using Discord, okay, and I'm part of various groups. However, I sometimes hate using Discord because I like to have different apps open, whatever, and I find the interface of Discord really gets on my nerves with how you can't hide certain things, and it takes up so much space even when you try and narrow it. When I first started using Midjourney, it was like, I don't really want to see everyone else's prompts.
Ah,
Continuously dun dun dun. I was like, I don't really care. And then you have to go and find your image, and then you had to go and like, go to your area and then go, oh no, it's done it. Where is it? And it was so disorganized. And what I liked about Greg is joining us. Hey Greg, I'm
hey,
just finishing my point and we'll have a good old discussion with you. So what I found with like even though the Elementor AI image thing is not great, at least it was built in. And I think even though I don't think I'll be using the Flexbox container AI, I don't think I will really because I'm full of ideas. But I do think that if you are struggling and you got a client and you're going, oh, what do we do? What do we do? You can now really quickly just type it in into a really simple prompt box. It gives you the results. And I think for people who don't have the time or don't know where to go to get inspiration, I think that's all it is. That's all it's really good for. And I think, it's even though I did a video on it, I really don't think I'll be using it, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be good. Um just going to check. Right, Greg. Finally, we have you on camera. I mean, you've been joining the live chats for ages, and right now, if I'm correct, is it early morning for you? What time is it, Greg?
Super, super early here. It is.
Is it like 6 a.m. or something? 5 a.m.
5:56.
Five. There you go. You see, it's way early. You know what I mean? At this point, I'd still be rolling around in bed, trying to stop the alarm clock going off and stuff like that. So, Greg, you're more of a breakdance user, aren't you?
Nah, I normally get up at about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Oh no, sorry, I meant in terms of page builder. So in terms of page builder, you're more of a breakdance person, aren't you?
Uh, break dance and Elementor.
Okay. And are you finding, I mean, are you finding that you jump between the two, or do you feel like you're growing more towards one over the other?
And it depends on the client's need.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that's the right answer, actually. That is literally the only answer you need to give because we see it so many times in forums and places where people like arguing back and forth, and something that someone posted today in the Web Squadron group, which I was a little bit worried about. I'm always worried about some post that can cause like an explosion going out everywhere. And what they were saying was about the term professional. And I was glad to see that lots of people were responding and saying, it doesn't really matter what tool you use, as long as you know that tool is going to achieve what you or the client needs. So as long as you can get there, I mean, I'm not a fan of Wix, mainly because I've used Wix and I always feel like I'm restricted to what I know I could do. But if someone came to me with a website and it looked really good and it was built in Wix, I wouldn't turn around and say, "Oh, you used Wix." I'd be like, "Really good website." Because the amount of times like I mean, most of the time, unless we are so, like pathetic to right click and inspect, you don't know half the time what a website's built with, right? I mean, I tend to do that. I tend to right click and go, "Oh, I wonder what that's built with." "Oh, it's been built with Squarespace or something." It's like as long as it delivers and it works.
Well, and as far as that goes, I got pretty much all the major builders. So I got Elementor, got Elementor Pro, got Breakdance, got Divi, got Bricks Lifetime. And again, it's what's specific. What platform can I use to meet my client's needs? It's not
Exactly.
necessarily what I'm a fan of. It's what can I use to get the job done.
Exactly. And we're just talking about WordPress, right? We haven't even touched the fact. I mean, it's like my next door neighbor, he travels back and forth to America a lot, and he works with companies that specialize in Magento and all of that. And when he asked me what I do, this is about a year ago. He moved in, and I said, "Oh, I work on websites." He was like, "Oh, what do you do? What kind?" And I said, "WordPress." His face dropped a bit, and I kind of was like, and I said, "That's because that's what I need." And I could then see he kind of was like okay with it, but it's like it's bad enough that we fight within WordPress, right? I mean, we're only 40% of the world. There's another 60% out there that do other stuff. And it's like, page builders, theme builders, blah, blah, blah. It's like, how do you butter your bread? How do you butter your bread, John? How do you do it? How do you butter it? I don't know if there's a delay there with John.
I get my sandwiches handed over to me by my other half.
Oh, okay. So she does it for you. Greg, how do you butter your bread? Do you have a particular way?
Probably a two swiper with a knife.
You just kind of go like that, just like
Yep.
And whatever lands, I guess.
And spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, I am very meticulous. Yep. I'll get my bread slice, I'll put it on, and then I might get another bit, and I'll make sure it goes edge to edge. It's got to get if there's any crust that hasn't got any butter on, I hate the crust. I dislike crust. It's got to have butter on it.
So hang on a minute. Does it need to be butter or can it be margarine?
Anything.
Are we going into the whole builder argument?
Well, do you know what? So the reason I brought up the bread and that is like, how do you make a sandwich? There's no right or wrong answer. There's a million ways to do it. Slice in the middle, slice in the corner, with tomato, without tomato. And I feel like that is the way the world is. That's how the world should be with web design as well. With, are you an expert? Are you a professional? Are you this? Are you that? I just feel like there's I'm going to reveal a little bit about me in that when I first entered the world of analytics with the health service, because I did not have a degree in computers or analytics or mathematics, people always go, we know more than you. We're the professional. You're just the helper, the whatever. And after a while, I became their head and manager. Why? Because you bring something else. You bring another way of doing it. You bring a different talent or a different skill. And I think that's what's so great about us as human beings, right? It's like some people say to me, wow, you've got professional gear for recording. I'm like, no, it's just a microphone and a camera that works for me. Greg has got a microphone and a camera that works for him. John has got his John's using his phone. Whatever tools you can use to make a difference, go out and make a difference. That's all you got to do.
I think it goes to say as far as that label of professional. Yeah. And I think a lot of people use that term very loosely, but more importantly is, okay, but can you do what you do consistently?
Yeah.
That delivers results and earns your business or your agency an income. How you do it, I don't think is relevant as much as it is, can you do it time in and time out and produce results?
Do you know what? AI in the last year and a bit has scared quite a few people, copywriters, graphic designers, whatever. And I've said to some people that have been doing that professionally for many, many years and it's their career, they're worried. And I go, but you keep doing what you do. If someone else uses that and they start to make money, don't assume they've stolen your business, because they might have different clients to what you've got. And if they can make it work, let them make it work. And I always use the same analogy. There's going to be someone who's been decorating for 50 years. They've been painting. They've been doing it for years and years, and they're really cool. Someone comes along with a sprayer and they start to spray the wall and they do it 10 times quicker. And they've got clients, they're making money. You do what you do, they do what they do, right? And until someone is unhappy with either of you, I mean, even then they might not come to the other person because they might not even know you anyway, but just do what you do, make it work. I just don't know how many ways I can say it differently because it's such a contentious issue. Greg, can I ask a question though? You've obviously jumped on. It's really early in the morning. Is this normal for you to jump onto a live chat at this time of the morning, or did you just have the urge to do it? Because I'm really impressed that you've done that.
No, it's a normal thing for me. I'm up super early every morning, so I'm either the most productive, get that first cup of coffee going, or super late at night. It's that in-between time that shoots me in the rear end. As long as I don't have any distractions around me and a lot of stuff in the house going on,
Yeah.
I'm going to dig in and get to work.
It's good to see that Richard agrees with me with all butter edge to edge with no padding or margin. That's, I mean, I don't know if he's agreeing or if he's stating what I do, but that's kind of me with my bread. DSD Pro, good morning to you. Maddie, good morning to you as well. Go on, John, were you going to say?
Imran, he's spreading the word. He's spreading the word. That's all that matters.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
And the jokes get better, I know.
Richard does agree. Richard does agree. That's really good to know. Is there, I mean, what would, so Verdi asked a question yesterday on Facebook, and I don't know how much the responses were, and he was basically saying to the community, what would you like to see Elementor do next or do better? I don't know how much they're going to listen to people because there's going to be there's going to be like a million things people are going to want. But if there was one thing that you would really love Elementor to do, I'm going to give you both a moment to think about it, but what would it be? For me, the thing I would love them to do is to sort out that damn taxonomy filter. Because it's still, there you go, Friendly Girl has literally said it as I've written as a taxonomy. Because I still don't think it's good to use. If you only have a basic blog with one category, one set of taxonomies as a category, with no other custom field taxonomy, you can get away with it. You can. But the minute you have more category fields, whatever, it's not good at the multi-filtering between them. You know, you could click it and it returns empty results. Well, why did you show me the button for green if nothing for green exists? And I still feel like it's a lot of us got excited in January 2023 when we were first told it's coming. But at the moment, it's been a bit of a damp squid. So I think it's good to have it for basic blog. But the minute you want something a bit better, Jet Smart Filter, Grid Builder, if you've used it, is wonderful. It takes a bit of thinking sometimes because there's so many settings and you go, well, is it that one? Is it that one? Is it that one? But when it works, especially for WooCommerce, if anyone out there's got WooCommerce and you want a really good filtering system, go for Grid Builder. Bricks has got a pretty decent filtering system for post and products, but even then, I would still go to Grid Builder because even the Bricks filter system, it can only do so much. Again, basic store. But I've said this so many times to Elementor. John might be back in a moment. We just lost him for a second. I've said to Elementor many times, if you get that filtering system done and dusted, people will love you for it. And that for me is the missing nugget when it comes to what they've been doing so far. And we've been invaded by Paul. How are you doing? Pixar,
very good.
To see you here. Dave says they're currently on phase 2 for the taxonomy filter. Mate, I'm not sure what phase we're on right now. If it's anything like the Marvel universe, phase 2 is not going to be a good move. So, but if there was one thing I really feel like they need to do, get that taxonomy filter, then
it's one
start
thing
about the global classes. Ace Rimmer, I'm a huge Red Dwarf fan. Huge.
Good to hear.
I love Red Dwarf. My teachers hated me in the early 90s because they were like, Imran, stop saying Smeghead. Of course, at that time, I didn't fully understand what Smeg was until I then looked it up in a dictionary. You know, I was only about 12 at the time. And even then I was confused. I was going, well, what exactly is that? But anyway.
Smoke your kipper.
How are you doing, Bo?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you very much. Yourself and Greg and John as well.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I take it you've just been editing or you're about to edit.
I've just been editing. I just uploaded the video and just finished that off. And as you can probably tell, I've got a bit of a cold. So I sound a little bit like Barry White at the moment. So that'll be fun.
For anyone who records videos, when you know you've got a croaky voice, it is doom and gloom. because then you're now thinking, how long? I mean, I had a moment in, let me get this right. It would have been, I think it was April 2022, and I had a croaky voice for about 5 days, and I felt like I was losing my mojo because I wasn't able to record. And I did do one video, and it is actually out there. It's the very first video. It was one of the videos I did about how to connect your email to the Elementor hosting. If you watch that video, I'm surprised that YouTube was able to work out the subtitles and captions for it, because it was awful. It was like, I was like, just could not do it.
Yeah, I've been up since about 4 this morning. I've been taking Lemsips and God knows what. So
man,
we'll see what happens.
You know what you need? You need a fizzy drink.
No, I'll stick it right perfectly clear.
Oh dear. Well, look, I hope it gets better. So just to check, then you are a Red Dwarf fan, then?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I did not know this. I did not know this.
But the thing is, I mean, you say it about Smeghead and stuff like that. I was years and years and years ago. If you look at lots of things that I kind of put up, it's like this PSMEG,
yeah,
right, PSMEG, EG. It's because I was looking for a username and a password years and years ago, and my mate at the time used to call me Smeg. We used to call each other Smeg. Both big Red Dwarf fans. So I just look at thinking, Paul Smeg, P Smeg, that'll do. And it's like that's kind of stuck for about the last 20 years. But yeah, massive Red Dwarf fan. Not so much the way they remade it, but the original proper series.
For me, it always felt like after Red Dwarf 6, I think it was. It's always been like, especially during the late 90s, where they did the bit. If anyone doesn't know Red Dwarf, really, really sorry here, but I think it was Red Dwarf 7 or 8 where they then reanimated the crew and they were back on the ship, and I felt like, it's because of the partnership, wasn't it? Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, they split a bit, and I mean, I love the books. If anyone,
the books are great.
The books are brilliant. You know,
especially Reverse
my
World.
favorite pastime when I used to read. By the way, does anyone actually still read? Can I just admit, I struggle to like read a book from start to finish because there's so much else going on in my life, and I start reading and then I do something else and something else. I need everything to be summarized within like.
If I can't get it on YouTube or a podcast, I can't consume it.
No, and I feel like I'm Richard likes Red Dwarf as well. Do you know what? We need to stop doing videos about websites. We need to do videos about YouTube, Red Dwarf and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right, Greg. Yeah, I think we've become more impatient. We want things quicker. We want to digest, and I think it's like we're never satisfied, are we?
Can you hurry up, please, and get to the point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I might be watching a movie or something or a show, and then you see someone, and I go, I've seen them somewhere before, and I'll literally then pause the screen, get my phone out, type in the movie, go to Wikipedia, cast, and go, oh, that's what they were in, and then I continue watching.
Well, the funny thing is, I've got a really bad habit of knowing what people have been in without, and I got to go to IMDb to check it. And I don't know if you've actually, I mean, you were a big fan of The Boys, yeah?
Yes.
You know the guy that plays Homelander?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him in anything else?
No. Well, I don't think I have.
Right. He's in a massive series. It was back in like the early 2010s. And it's a brilliant series. I literally just started watching. I'm about 5 episodes in. It's called Banshee. And I don't know if Greg, being in the US, has actually seen that series, because it wasn't really available in the UK too easily. But if you like the acting, it's very brutal, very gritty. And if you like things like Sons of Anarchy and those types of series, honestly, check out Banshee. I think you'll enjoy it.
I'll have a look at that now.
It's good.
But that's the kind of thing I do all the time. I just can't help it. I like to know. By the way, though, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but because I'm just watching the Office reruns that are on TV, because I used to love that show. My son's really, really into it. Hey?
The British series, not the American one?
No, the American. I never really got into the British one, surprisingly.
Oh,
I,
really?
f- I felt I loved the American one more. And my son, he's so into that. Like he stops what he's doing and he goes, right, Dad, it's time to go watch The Office now because it's the reruns.
You know, you
Um,
was talking about reading books, Imran, and I got to be honest, fanboys of both of you. So I do a lot of driving to meet with clients and whatnot. In between leaving home and getting there, I will take either you or Paul, either one, find all of your videos. In fact, I got playlists. I'll play the videos in the background, just listen to the audio when I'm driving from point A to point B.
I'm amazed you haven't had a crash yet, then, Greg, because I'm sure that we'd probably bore you to sleep when you're driving.
okay, right. I'm just going to mention though, just because there are quite a few comments coming in. So Zaki, you've just emailed me your web link to do a review. I'm going to be honest here, okay? I'm not going to put it on screen, but I'm going to say that I feel like you need to go away and study a lot of websites because I don't want to put it on screen because I feel like it feels to me like it's just you just dumped widgets on, but there's no organization. So rather than me going through every single section on what you've sent, I would strongly recommend you go and look at websites because obviously this website is for a particular industry. Go and do a Google search for those industries in the area or whatever is in the top 5, top 10. Go and look at them and look at how they place things because I'm going to try and describe it. It's just a lot of widgets and all of them are black, 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 black. Basically, it's like white page and then you just got a widget with a black background, another one with a black background, black, white text. And it just, there's no images, there's no real context. I can clearly tell you haven't researched. That's my advice, okay? Because if I put it on screen, I don't think a lot of people are going to say. I'm trying to be positive here. I think a lot of people are going to say, oh, they're going to say things that you might not want to hear. So I'm going to say, go away and do some research, okay? And then when you've done that, absolutely happy to look at it again for you. But just do a bit of research on that. Take care, Richard. Good to see you here.
Picking up what you're saying there, sorry to interrupt a
Yeah,
sec.
go on, mate.
Without seeing it, but from what you're describing, I think the most important lesson to learn and look at any of the sort of websites that you kind of look at to get inspiration is white space is king. Look for the
Yeah,
white space. Give yourself breathing room. Don't try to dump everything, including the kitchen sink, into one design. Take a look. What's needed? What's important? What conveys the message you're trying to convey? And put only those things on there. Everything else is a waste of time because if people are going to look around your page and they've got to scan a lot to find what they want, what you're actually trying to promote or talk about, you've lost them. And I think simplicity is the key when it comes to websites.
I'm tempted to put it on screen because I feel like I've said a lot. I've said that, and I feel like people might not fully get. I don't know. Should I put it on screen or not?
Well,
Okay,
if
Zaki. Look, leave it up to you, Zaki. If you say put it on screen to get
yeah,
a general review, I will. Otherwise, I won't. But I'll let you decide on that. Pixar says make it look sharp. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this. Yeah, I'm not going to put it on screen just yet, kind of thing. So just going back to the reading, I was a massive reader, and
me too.
I do blame YouTube a little bit because I just think once you get into creating videos and stuff like that, time for everything else just goes out the window. And when I do have free time, it's mainly me going right. What's on my to-do list for videos? Oh, I need to research XYZ a bit more and go and play with it or be convinced it's even a viable solution or is it going to be good for anyone? But at the moment, but that's my reasons why I don't read anymore. And I miss it. I do miss it. I've got books I've bought, literally paperbacks, because I love the feeling of paper in my hand.
Yeah.
They're just wasting away on my shelf.
I think that's the thing is I think as you get older as well, your attention span can tend to sort of slow down a little bit. And, you know, like you say, if you're making videos, it's very easy to kind of like that becomes your focus. And YouTube does become all encompassing. I think if anybody's sort of got into this with any kind of serious, you know, sort of plans in place, you'll very quickly know that it takes over. I mean, Imran is probably the same as me. It's like you go to bed at night and your brain is going a million miles an hour with
Oh,
ideas of software and plugins and how you can implement things together. And then you wake up and you're thinking about it, and it's like it's very sad. I will be
it
brutally
is.
honest. It's very sad, but it does become all consuming.
Yeah, it is, and it is like when I'm lying in bed at night. There's probably about 2 hours of my life I lose just sat there in bed on my phone like that, just scrolling and like thinking of new ideas, or what has someone said about a new plugin, or what has someone else recorded and what did they do and how did they do it and can I do it differently? And like the WP Weekly, which is a
Mm.
great newsletter, by the way. I really got to say, it's one of my favorite newsletters I get every Monday. I'm looking at like what he's now reporting. I go, oh, I didn't know about that. Is that worth recording? Nah, I don't think so. Oh, maybe it is. And it starts to like, do you do that, Paul? Do you kind of
Um,
get inspiration sometimes from the newsletters?
yeah, I do. I don't subscribe to many newsletters. I think
No.
I've got like a pretty limited list of like tweets that or Twitter follow people that I follow, kind of thing, and most of it's all in the sort of like the web space. So I tend to look there, and have a little look online to see what people are doing. Like I say, the video released today, like I say, I give you all credit and spoke to you yesterday about it to make sure you're happy with it, and took the idea that you came up with and expanded on it in a slightly different way, and did it my own way. But I think, and I think this is a comment that was brought up about influencers watching other influencers and stuff like that,
Oh
which I
yeah.
think is a really stupid comment
Yeah.
because we, well, you did the video first. And like I say, I always got to give credit and run it by whoever kind of comes up with the idea. But sometimes it'll give me inspiration to go in a slightly different way. And you look at the comments and people talking about jet engine and things. It's like, right, okay, there's an interest in how do you do the same thing with jet engine and how can you
Mhm.
use it in different ways. And also, I mean, my audience is a different audience to you. So we've got an overlap, but I mean, mine is very much the dynamic side of things, whereas
Yeah.
yours is very much the Elementor, digging into bricks a little bit, but predominantly Elementor, and obviously code snippets and those kinds of things right now. So I think it was relevant for me to take that kind of content. And like I say, like I'll always be honest about this. I will always run it past anybody that's kind of created, written lists and things like that I think would make a good video, and to make sure that you know we have a community of creators, and it's important that we all respect each other. And I think it's vitally important to have that support network of people that understand what we do, and the kind of weird loneliness that you kind of have as part of this. Even though you've got family and friends outside it, it's still a very, very sort of insular profession.
Yeah.
Always good to have that kind of support network, and you do feed off each other's ideas and creative content and things. And like I said, I think it's just really silly when people make daft comments about like, oh, so and so came up with that idea. Oh, you learn from other influences. It's like we all learn from a million
I know.
different
I mean,
resources.
it's like I've not. I mean, by the way, though, so this is one's for you, Greg. Chip has just mentioned like he'd love to know. He'd love to follow you and love to know who you are. Chip, if you're not part of the Web Squadron group in Facebook, jump over there. Greg is in that group. Greg is in quite a few groups. But Greg, if you wanna, in the because it what we're using, if you go and drop me a comment just to pop in your I don't know, your Twitter link or your website link, I'll quickly post it in here for you. But going back to what Paul was saying about, I've made no lie about it that when I first started messing around with like Elementor, I was learning off Paul, Dave Foy, Jeffrey. When I was first getting into like crocker blocks and dynamic fields, I learned so much off Paul's videos. Wiki design as well. You learn from so many different people, and then what you do is you either do it your own way or you adapt it and do something different with it. And that's kind of what YouTube really is all about, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, I mean the book says it right. I think steal like an artist, which is,
yeah,
but it's true. It's what we all do. It's you look at if you look anyway, any of the sort of YouTube gurus, the one thing they will tell you is look at the peers in your community, the people that
yeah,
create content on the subjects that you do, look at what's successful for them, and then do it your way, or bring something
exactly.
new to what they've done, because success is universal. Do you know what I mean? It's like if that's popular with the WordPress audience, you can take that concept and you can do your own version of it. And I think that's the things. I mean, Imran's done stuff that I've covered before, and I have no problem because Imran's audience is slightly different to mine, but also the way that he delivers things, the way that he kind of conveys the information and just, sort of does all those kind of things. It's different to me, and it'll resonate with some people where it won't resonate with people the way I do it. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
and it's a
Every,
bit.
everybody learns differently, and I'm going to
Yeah,
use both you gentlemen as an example because I do watch both of you. But I take what I understand, what works for me,
yeah,
implement it, and then maybe put my own twist and turns on it and pump it back out. Just like some of the
exactly
stuff
it.
you put out, Imran. I can use these techniques in breakdance. I might have to modify some techniques a little bit to make it work. But at the end of the day, it's not about, well, so and so done this 100 times, or I've already seen this from so and so. Maybe they didn't get the message across to me, but maybe Paul's videos did, or maybe yours did. So it's not a matter about overlapping as much as who has the ability for you to be able to understand what it is you're trying to figure out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
it's absolutely right. And I think, like, even if you're not a YouTuber, you will see something, and like you just said, Greg, you will apply it or tweak it to work for you for what you want to do. So it's it was it was a very, like, it was one of those comments that, when I saw it, and Paul saw it, it was like, oh, really, is that really what they think of us? I mean, we talk behind the scenes. Influencers, we do talk, we share secrets, we criticize, we give, we compliment, we brainstorm,
Yeah.
we allege, we do all sorts of things in the
Hey,
background.
I think
look, this was the whole point. I mean, what was it, about 18 months ago, I set up the WordPress Creator Network, and it's a small group of creators. And one of the lovely things is we've all got very different skill sets. We have one aim, and that's to help people become better web designers and ultimately make money or make more money. That's what our goal is. But we all bring something different to the table, and it's nice because behind the scenes we'll have group video sessions where one of us, like for example, like Dave Foy, very very good in the online training side of things. With his paid courses and so on. He's got a lot of experience in marketing, promoting, creation, and all those kinds of things, and we can all benefit from it. We create courses, so it makes sense to get together, have these kind of meetings, these sort of like video conferences like we're doing now, where one of us will demonstrate and talk about techniques and talk about information, because we're all in different points in our journey. I've been doing this probably longer than Imran, so there's areas that I've covered that Imran would, well, not just Imran, but everybody would benefit from, and the same
Yeah.
comes from Dave and from Imran, and we all have our different strengths and our different areas of expertise, and it's just lovely that we have a group of people that are all trying to achieve the same end result. We can talk to each other, we can learn, and we can benefit. And ultimately, hopefully, what that does is it helps everybody that consumes our content to get better, more concise, more informative content in whatever version we kind of put out there. And that for me is a massive thing.
Right, I'm just going to quickly respond to Zaki. So Zaki, without me showing it, without a booked one-to-one, it's very difficult to convey what the problems are. But if I was to put it on screen, I could probably just sit back, and I bet Greg and Mr. Ace Rimmer could very easily point out what the problems are. So I'm leaving it there for you, because when I do reviews, I only do them during the YouTube. I don't do them privately unless it's a paid one-to-one consultation, because it takes time to go through and write up the bullet point lists and stuff like that. And I have enough spammy emails to deal with as it is. Believe me, we get spammed a lot. And
I'll give you $50 to do it.
yes.
I want to slap something at you here real quick, Imran, if I
Go
may.
for it.
Based on what the conversation was back and forth about, who's doing better videos, this, that, and the other. Here a few days ago when you was talking about all the hate and discontent in the community, and I don't know who posted the video, that's the other thing that kind of snaps my britches. And I'm in a lot of these communities, whether it be Elementor, Breakdance, Divi, Bricks, whoever, is all the hate and discontent about, well, you need to use this builder, you need to use that builder. No, you need to use the builder that you can master and delivers a polished, finished product. And rather than beat up on someone about what page builder or what method they're using, how about offering some encouragement and some support and answer the question? Doesn't need all the extra
Yeah,
dialogue.
I mean, it's so some. I don't know if Paul. I don't know if you saw it. So I just made a point that if someone asks a bricks question, answer it relating to bricks. If they ask a breakdance, answer it relating to breakdance. If it's element, blah. Because what I've seen happening so much now is that someone asks an elemental question and the response literally is, yeah, you should use bricks. And I'm slightly going, the person is working on a website or a client website. The solution is not jump to something else kind of thing. So I feel like I think it's kind of got through to a few people though, because I am keeping an eye on it in the Web Squadron group. But it happens in the Elementor Facebook group as well, which
it happens everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and it happens. It's all sorts, and it's like, but
and we've talked about it a lot on live streams, on your live streams, on my live streams, and different videos and things. The tribalism just becomes stupid. It's so immature. It's like the gangs in a schoolyard. It's like if Builder X resonates with you and you could get the job done and you're happy with it and you've learned what you need to learn and you enjoy using it, well, bloody stick with it.
Do you know what it reminds me? Do you know what it reminds me of? Is when I was a kid, I liked Star Wars and I liked Star Trek.
Oh, you can't be a Trekkie and a Star Wars fan.
I liked Star Wars more though. I was passionate about Star Wars, but I liked Star Trek as well. And I always felt like you couldn't admit to liking both, even as a kid at school. It was like you had to have one or the other, and it was like, why can't I like both? Get over it, kind of thing. And for many, many years of my life, I had to pretend to not like Star Trek, not to offend loads of my friends.
I think the thing is, though, sorry to keep the conversation going. I think the thing is, it's like if person A thinks Builder A is better than person B that likes Builder B, and they say, "Oh, you should use so and so," it's not helpful. But you can live with it because it's not being destructive to the conversation. What does get destructive to the conversation is where tribes start to gather tribal members, should we say, and they jump on people for their opinions, and they start to ridicule and abuse and all those kinds of things. And to me, that's just virtual bullying. It's just silly, and there's no space for people like that, I don't think, in groups. It's like I would rather kick them out and have nothing to do with them. I've done it. You've probably done it in your group as well. It's like if you bring something constructive to the conversation and you're helpful and you're polite, brilliant. You're welcome all day long. If you just become a tribal idiot that just, especially when all they do is spew someone else's rhetoric, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into names and things like that, but when someone's spewing someone else's rhetoric, it's like that to me. I mean, one of the creators, Jeffrey, in our private group, came up with a brilliant terminology for exactly what I'm talking about here. And Imran knows what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it on camera, but it's just like, have your own opinion. Don't just regurgitate someone else's. And if you can't bring something positive to the conversation, just leave the comment. No one forces you to type those messages. No one is there on your shoulder going like, you have to type it. You have to. If you don't type it, I'm going to punch you in the throat. It's like, you're just being a dick.
Yeah.
And you are. You're just being a dick.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Just coming on to a question again. Friendly Girl has just said that she's tried. So obviously, I've noticed a few comments in the Elementor community. She has said that the latest 3.18 seems okay. It slows the website down. I mean, I never, ever, ever update for about at least a minimum of 3 to 4 days. Sometimes a bit longer, unless it's a feature I really want to test out. When I have my testing websites and stuff like that. But I would say just hang fire, especially on production websites. I still don't understand why so many people do it, why they rush out to update on a production website.
Having my own hosting company to host my clients on and others, a lot of people, and I don't care what page builder it is, it comes across through all of them about, oh, it's slow after the update. And they'll come back to me and say, can you check this out for me? Sure. But when I get in there and check out their server configurations, it's got nothing to do with the actual page builder as much as it is how do you have your stack set up? What version, what are you on? You on a Lightspeed server? You on Nginx? What are you on? And what current version of PHP are you running? You still on 7.0 and you've got a page builder that's been optimized or updated for, let's say, 8.0 or above, you're probably going to have some problems.
I think the problem is a lot of people, especially in the groups that complain about things like that, don't necessarily understand servers. and it's like they've bought SiteGround or hosting or something like that, and they've just gone in there with the cheapest of the cheap options that are the shared hosting, and don't really understand the implications of the server setup. I mean, I'm no server wizard at all. I know enough to be dangerous, and I could probably break things, but it's like people just don't necessarily understand it. I think that the problem there, and this is a universal problem. I think when you have a builder like Elementor that aims to target beginners, as a big portion of their audience, shall we say, a big portion of the user base, that beginner doesn't necessarily know about the technology behind the website. They just know. I mean, talking to clients, you could talk about hosting and you can see their face glaze over. And there's a lot of people that would then go and try and build their own website because they want to keep costs down because they've heard it's easy, or they watch some of Imran's videos or my videos, whatever. But they don't understand what's going on behind the scenes and what the requirements are, and how that could impact, the actual website, the software, and everything else that's going with it.
I mean, I am no server expert, which is why I have completely backed out of providing hosting to clients and stuff like that for quite a while now. It's not my forte. I understand things. I'm pretty good at problem solving, but it's one of those things where I prefer to build than get bogged down with, oh God, your MX record's gone a bit funny, right? Let's go and sort that out, and all of that. I get a bit. I think it's because I always find that server problems, there's always this little bit of unpredictability as to when you've fixed it, or when the problem won't occur again. Whereas when you're building, cool, we'll stick a bit of CSS in and that sorts out the problem. I always like to know that if I say I've done something, I've actually accomplished and done it. But it's like Mark Wiki, he's very much of a server geek. He loves to get really, hands deep into all of that side of kind of things. But yeah.
That's his kind of strength, though, isn't it? He likes
is.
the sort of the technology, he likes the sort of the dynamic side of things where, his partner, she's more the creative, I think.
Yes.
I think that's the balances between the two of them is kind of that point.
Or someone comes to you with I took over a client website, 40 pages, probably about 500 images. All the images were minimal at 4,000 by 3,000 pixels.
Nice.
Nothing had been converted, using 9 different fonts and not even serving them locally. And again, this gets in this little thing. If you start with the basics, optimize your images, bring your site down to 2, maximum of 3 fonts across the board, and serve them up locally, and watch your load times just blow your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's my biggest bugbear, really, in that, and I'm not just talking about Elementor, I'm talking about any page builder. Whenever someone on any forum goes and says my website's running really slow, and then you get the URL and you stick it in PageSpeed Insights, and you're like, you're not using next-gen images, you're not custom loading your font, you're not doing and they're kind of like, why should I? Why should I have to do all of that? Shouldn't it do it for me? And you.
But this goes back to that lack of understanding. To me, it would have made more sense if builders at the beginning, instead of serving, for example, Google fonts from the Google servers before we had anything to do with GDPR and issues there, they had literally said, "You want to use this font? Let's download it locally." Surely that can't be that difficult to have implemented. And the same thing goes with lots of other things. When there's lots of ways in which the builders, I think, could have helped the uninitiated to avoid those kind of problems by just basically making it easy in the background, that it just handles a lot of things for you.
Well, this is the thing I still don't get. So this is a bit. So let's just focus on WordPress. There was this talk about a year ago about how they were going to automate the loading of WebP images or conversion. Then they backed off from that because sometimes your JPEG might be smaller than your WebP, depending on the type of image. So, it's chicken and egg kind of thing. But there's some things I always go, why don't they implement something that allows you to convert or not to convert? Why is it that in your media library, we get told upload your images? It should have there, for optimum conversion, you should use WebP and watch out for XYZ. Same with Elementor, custom fonts. It should say use WAF2. Because even with Elementor, even with Bricks, all of them, they have WAF,
Yeah, there are
WOF2,
tons.
TTF.
Yeah.
Why are you even giving people the option to do TTF? Because that will be about 5 times the size of WOF2. Tell them. So there's so many things that I think all of them are a little bit guilty of that little bit of hand holding.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
think
even like, I've even mentioned this to Verdi. Like, I've said to him, like, you know that there's like 5 or 6 code snippets I use for every WordPress website, whether you're Elementor, Bricks, whatever. Why don't you get them as your default snippets? They're unactivated, but they're there. Because at the moment with code snippets, you get one, I think it's for date, time,
yeah.
and there's a few
Pointless
others.
ones.
It's got like 5 defaults that are in there, and you decide whether you want to activate them or not. But
you never do. I mean, I've never activated those ever.
getting back to the WordPress thing, sorry, Paul. At 12 plus years, why isn't WordPress again getting back to the image optimization? That should be an automatic to upload an image, convert it. But also, why can't we organize the media library? All these updates they've done, could that have been that hard to enable to be able to make folders and categories for your images so you could better organize that disaster?
And your pages and your posts. I
There's
mean,
so
look at Happy Files. That allows you to organize everything, not just your images, everything. And when you consider a big website, let's just say not that big. Let's say 100 posts. I mean, I know like the WordPress. My WP Tuts website. That's probably got somewhere in the region of about 600 posts on it. You know, because of all the different tutorials. And yes, you can categorize them through the categories, but that still dumps everything into one location that you literally have to go and filter out. Surely it would make more sense. But the funny thing is, Greg, you brought me back to a topic that I've been thinking about doing a video on today. Not doing it today, but thinking about it today. Is WordPress actually going in the right direction? Because I don't think they are.
No.
I think they've invested so much into Gutenberg and the Gutenberg project and full site editing and those things that they've literally ignored everything else apart from those things. And what are we, 5 years in, and it's still a shocking place to try. I mean, have you ever tried full site editing? It's bloody awful. It makes no bloody sense.
I've said the same thing to some other people in that 20 years celebration of WordPress. You take any of these other third parties, these page builders and stuff we're using now. Look at where look, with all the flaws, whatever, look at where Elementor were 6 years ago and where they are now. Imagine where Bricks might be in 10 years' time, or Breakdowns, all of these solutions. Where has WordPress gone in 20 years? Because there's been improvements, but is it really that different? Come on. I mean, the WordPress dashboard, I think
that gets in a separation of, for lack of better words, the fearless leader of WordPress.
Yeah, they don't have.
But we don't have that separation in the for those that install WordPress themselves via server. Where's the leadership on that end? And I kind of feel like that should be a completely separate world away from the traditional corporate WordPress, if you will. Everybody seems to follow suit with what, let's say, I don't even know the developer of WordPress, and I could spit out his name 20 times yesterday. Yeah. Nonetheless, though, let's get with what we need in today's times and get it ironed out and develop more. And it's just too wishy-washy.
A great example is the admin and site enhancement plugin. That's basically built on the back end of loads of code snippets. And then they've got an interface. I mean, at the end of the day, they've just taken loads of snippets very cleverly. I'd love to know what some of those snippets are so I can do separate videos and whatever's with them. But it's basically a lovely interface. But a lot of what they do is stuff that some of us have wanted to do with the WordPress dashboard and whatever, but we just couldn't do it unless you hired a coder or something. And it's like, come on, WordPress.
Well, you can
some of that in.
I mean, there's one big factor that we do have to consider, and that's the fact that if it's running at over 40% of the internet, making changes is massive. But consider it from 2 points of view, right? Full site editing and Gutenberg as a project is massive because it changes the fundamental way in which WordPress works and operates and how you build sites. So that's massive. That has a massive long-term implication, which is probably why it's taking them so long. But the WordPress dashboard doesn't. If you kind of consider the fact that if you want to apply organization, take a look at something like Happy Files. It's purely optional and it does nothing to your database. It literally just puts a layer on top that allows you to organize things. And once you remove it, all of that is gone. It doesn't do anything disruptive or destructive. And there's so many other things that you can consider that could be done inside the dashboard that wouldn't have implications for those that are running legacy sites that don't really want to update for whatever reason, or they're just happy with the way it runs. Surely it would have made sense to have had at least a team concentrating on the dashboard side of things and making the user experience from that point of view better than just concentrating all of your efforts on the full site editing, on Gutenberg as a project, and so on. And I've said the same thing a long time. They would have been so much better off taking a team of like an Elementor team or something like that and saying, right, we're going to buy you and we want you to solely concentrate on creating a fantastic editor experience that'll push the actual interface forward because you've got experience in this area, and then make it optional. Like we've seen with Generate blocks, like we see with Cadence blocks and those types of things. It can sit on top and make it optional as opposed to trying to make it mandatory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to be a bit of a hypocrite now and say that even though I want WordPress to develop and make the interface and everything smarter and sharper and nicer, I'm not a massive fan of what they did with the WooCommerce. Like, I feel like it might grow on me over time. And I feel like they made some things clearer, but then by splitting it out over, I think it's 4 tabs, the way it works.
I think it's about 6.
So it was something, I didn't like that because it was almost like, I never liked it. I'm not a massive fan of the old WooCommerce as it is because it's always, but then again, having it split over 4 tabs now felt like, oh, a lot of clicks to go back and forth, whatever. Yeah. So it's like, whoever is pulling the strings there, I think like what you said earlier, Paul, in terms of where it's heading and the leadership as well, and who's making those design choices, I always feel like, yeah, I just always feel like it's just not. To be honest, though, I could say the same about all the other page builders as well, with some of the decisions we've seen in recent months and years. Like, who's doing the market research? Who is speaking to the real users and the people and getting a viewpoint on it? Because, like, look, I'm not going to focus on it because I'm sure I'll get into trouble for talking about it. But with Elementor, yes, we know the essentials plan. Yes, we know you're grandfathered in, but it would have been a whole lot better if you just had a basic plan, which was $39. Do that, everyone's happy. And you've now made it accessible to people that struggle to get Pro from some geographical locations. Boom, job done. Everyone moves on. Everyone's happy.
When I saw the price changes, the first thing that I put on there that they should have done, instead of feature stripping the current pricing plan, they should have just brought in a lower tier for the people that don't need those extra facilities. So they just want some of the sort of advanced features, but they don't care about dynamic data. They don't care about WooCommerce. Exactly. They just want to have those advanced features. And to be honest, I think they would have made more money doing it that way than the way they've done it now.
I completely agree with you. I mean, they could even have gone for $29. And because there's so many people who are like in certain parts of the world where they say that's a heck of a lot of money for where they're geographically based. And it's like halving it. In fact, that's what they should have done. They should have gone with half the price.
But I also think a lot of people, like you say, the people that are in sort of like, they don't have such good conversion rates when it comes to money would have absolutely benefited from it. Yeah. But also, I think a lot of people, like, sometimes you look at things and prices are throwaway and you'll go, I'll just buy the Pro version or the Pro Lite version because it gives me these extra features. It's only $30, and you'll have people that will just buy that because they're thinking, it's a better product than the free version, and I don't need all those extra things, and if I do, I'll upgrade. And I think you probably have had a lot of people that would just buy it because it's cheap. I did exactly the same with Happy Files when Thomas brought up the original lifetime plan, which I think was $29 for lifetime. And to start off, I'd say, that's quite cool, and I didn't use it. Not because it was bad or anything like that. I just didn't really use it. But now I use it on almost every site because I invested in it. It's like, it's actually matured into a really good product. It integrates lovely, as Artif said, really integrates really, really well with Bricks Builder itself. There's a lot of really good things about how it works. And I think, sometimes people would invest in a product because it's cheap in where they think it's going to go, and it's not that expensive, and you don't care about $30 for a product, for a lifetime deal or for a yearly deal. If you never use it, you don't renew it. But I just think they would have had a lot of sort of people just because,
So you heard it all here first. Before the night is out, Paul will be getting out a special video all about WordPress.
Well, I've released today's video, maybe tomorrow.
I think you need to give your voice a bit of a rest. I mean, your voice has been quite okay. I have not noticed any real croakiness, so hopefully it's getting better, but don't overdo it, because it ain't nice when your voice goes. You feel like a part of you's just been shattered apart, and so it ain't nice.
I think my better half may disagree, and she go, "Oh, piece of."
Do you know what? Something my wife actually did quite like it, that I was on silent mode for a few days as well. She's like, "Oh God, I don't have to listen to you." Right, we've been live for 1 hour 10 minutes. I'm gonna close off in a couple of minutes. So if anyone's got any burning questions they want to ask, I was about to say Ace Rimmer. Then if anyone wants to ask Paul or Greg or me, please do. Greg, just to understand a bit more about you. So obviously you've mentioned your server. So is it that you run an agency? Do you work on your own? Or are you part of a team? Or
I am a 100% solopreneur.
It's a nice
me, myself, and I. I don't have to be. I'd love to have more people. I really would. And someday I probably will get there. I just don't want to deal with all the logistics and the extra hassles that come along with having to manage that aspect of it. There are days I have a problem managing myself. I don't have to worry about someone else.
I tell you what, there is another business partner, but I'm all the hands-on kind of thing. And there's many times I'm like, you know what, I could really do with a video editor. I could really do with someone who handles something. I could really do with someone who helps out on the social media. But do you know what? I feel like I'd spend more time QA quality checking and redoing, and I don't think they can get into my head with how I like to do things. And I'd love to my wife often says to me, "Hey, what can I do for you?" And I'm like, "Get out of my room. Stay out of my room. You're not allowed in my room. I've seen what you do with Excel. I let you use my Canva account and I was appalled by what you created. Never come in my room again," kind of thing. So I wish I really wish, I mean, I don't know about you, Paul, but it's like, it's not because I'm obsessive, but
yeah, you are. I am as well.
There's a way you
that's called
obsessive.
Like
to cut and do things.
That's called obsessive. That's called OCD.
I know, and I was trying to make it, but it is, yes.
I've got a little message for Mark Harris as well, because he's made a little comment, and it's especially for you, Mark. Thank you very much. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm surprised Mark's not jumped on, actually.
He's been washing his hair, that's why.
He's probably not dressed, he's probably just sat there in his office naked or whatever. Right, I'm going to say thanks to Paul, thanks to Greg. I mean, especially Greg, this is your first time is this the first time you've ever come on anyone's live chat from in terms of WordPress community?
No.
Do you often join other live chats?
Yes, and then sometimes I will sit there rather quiet in the chat, kind of out of sight, out of mind, just listen and watch the bantering going back and forth. Kind of gives me a feel for what's going on around the community. But years ago, I'd done a podcast, and I've been kicking that can about whether or not I want to get back into that field, because just like with video, it's a whole nother era of work.
Mate, the best advice I can give is that if you really want to do it, you just have the camera on. You don't even have to look at the camera. Just sit there talking. You got the footage. Upload it if you want to upload it, but you'll have all the sound bites, and you've got an easy to listen to voice. So if you want to get back into it, do it. Just do it. Don't wait for the world. Remember, when you stand still, the world is still turning. So keep moving. You keep moving, my friend. Right, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thanks again to Greg. Thanks again to Paul, especially with his croaky voice, Bo. He sounds like he's doing okay. And remember, tonight, Paul's got his video coming out all about
No, he's not. No, he's not. Shut up. Go away.
All right, everyone. Take care. See you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.